Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Paul, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Sunday night edition of the Allegheny Health Network Nightly Sports Call, where you make the call. 412-575-2600. That's the number on the Borders and Borders hotline tonight. I'm Bob Pompeani. I'll be taking your calls until 11 o'clock tonight. And be sure to join us on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. That's tonight after the late news on KDKA. 11:35 start time. My panel of Chris Muller, Chris Mack, Colin Dunlap. And we have a lot to get into. Some juicy conversation about the roster on the Steelers, who may lose their jobs, and there could be some veteran names involved. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about the Pirates. Clint Hurdle, is he in the final month perhaps of his managerial career? And if so, will it be his choice or their choice if they part company? We'll talk about that and more tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. On this program tonight, you can talk about anything you want to do. All you have to do is call us and let us know what it may be. The Steelers, the Pirates, also the fight last night in Las Vegas, where we saw an interesting matchup there by Conor McGregor, who went a lot longer than I thought he could against Floyd Mayweather. Eventually, it turned out to be a typical Mayweather fight in that he invited his opponent to get involved early, took some punches, and then eventually just wore him out. And that's what he does as a defensive kind of fighter. 50-0. He wins. That's the one where you'd have to sum him up as far as his efforts in the ring. But I'd like to get your take on what you thought of that event. And it was an event. It wasn't just a fight. It was an event, and a lot of people showed up for it. 412-575-2600. You can also tweet me at KDPomp. Interesting stuff on Twitter I noticed tonight. People asking about the Steelers secondary, which to me is still of concern. When you consider how much they've invested into it, based on a #2 pick in Senquez Golson, who is yet to play, another second-round pick, Sean Davis, a first-round pick, Artie Burns, 2 more this year, a 3rd and a 5th in Cam Sutton, who we did see last night finally, and Brian Allen, who's been actually not doing so badly, plus a free agent acquisition in Cody Sensabaugh, yet they still have issues. And these are things that need to be worked out, you would think, given the fact that they're closing in on the opener against the Browns. It certainly would be made a lot easier back there if they get consistent pressure on the quarterback, which is their intent, and I think if they're healthy they can do that. But if you want to truly play press coverage, then you need to be able to have guys who can cover. Artie Burns, to me, has proven that he's on the right track for that. Ross Cockrell has taken a step back in the last week and a half, inviting Sensabaugh to take his job. The fact that Will Gay, and nothing against Will Gay because he's been around for a long time, but Will Gay should not be figuring prominently on the #1 line when it comes to starting corners. If he is, that's more of an indictment of what you don't have. And again, if it's Will Gay, who's been solid throughout his career, that's fine, but he's an older statesman now, and you would expect some of these younger guys to take over by now. We haven't seen Mike Mitchell. I think that'll help the secondary because he hasn't played, but we do expect him to play in the opener against Cleveland. And by the way, Cleveland announced their starting quarterback today. It's going to be Deshaun Kaiser. Yeah, he won that battle over Brock Osweiler, who continues to be paid a lot of money. One of those quarterbacks who cashed in, price was right, he made his money, and he hasn't produced since. And he cost Houston a chance to beat New England last year, in my opinion. So we have a lot to talk about there. Your concerns for the Steelers, 575-2600, area code 412. Or the Pirates, who won today as they beat Cincinnati 5-2. How about Joey Votto? 5 walks today. Second time in her career he's done that. That guy is the best when it comes to on-base percentage. He still has 33 home runs. He drives in a lot. He is a very good player. That team has a lot of offense, but they are where they are because their pitching stinks, and I think generally you see that on a nightly basis. But they have handled the Pirates over the years, and this weekend at least the Pirates win 2 of 3. The Cubs lose to the Phillies. So if you're still an optimist out there, the Pirates are 7 games back. Although I'll ask the question tonight on the Showdown, is the window closed on the Pittsburgh Pirates in terms of opportunities in the future? 412-575-2600, that's the number to call. We invite you to call us next right here live on Pittsburgh CW.